Good morning. Welcome into Five Clubs on this Monday. Great to have you with us as we approach the holiday season. Golf still going on. I'm Gary Williams, and this program, as you know, it's always brought to you by Century Insurance. Business insurance needs are met by Century. They are right by you. Golf Pride, when it comes to options in your golf bag and all the grips that you need, Golf Pride has more. They have the best materials. That's why they're trusted by the most players at every level. When it comes to apparel, the lifestyle brand that is the standard is Peter Millar from this little Bingham performance blazer. I don't know about this old regimental striped tie. That's not in the catalog, but you can get everything you need at Peter Millar and petermillar.com. We got a jam-packed show. We've got somebody who's waiting, so I'm going to get to him in literally 1 minute. But I do want to mention that, look, the Bermuda Butterfield Championship, Adam Schenk and what he did when the winds were ripping yesterday to win a golf tournament is very impressive. And on the DP World Tour, just to show everybody, Matt Fitzpatrick, who's now won this event for the third time, he outlasts Rory McIlroy. Unfortunately, the playoff was kind of anticlimactic because Rory drove it into the creek after making eagle in regulation to force the playoff. Look at that great leaderboard. My gosh. You look at that, and yes, they have a season-long race, and they had 2 trophies, and I've always been fine with that. And I know that the PGA Tour used to do that with the FedEx Cup and the Tour Championship. I wish they would look at it again. They had a great event, and I wasn't confused as to who was winning what. Fitzpatrick wins the event. Rory wins the race to Dubai, wins the Harry Vardon Trophy for the 7th time. To somebody who knows how to win a tournament and also win the FedEx Cup is joining me now. Now, I could say, look, he joined us 15 minutes ago from the Bahamas. He joined us early, which you're never early on island time, but he is, and I would say he's never been late. But the truth is he was at my home club in 2010 when he overslept a Pro-Am time. You know what he did? He still won the FedEx Cup. That is Jim Furyk. Good morning, my friend. How you doing?
Good morning. You just put that all together in the last 10 minutes. I love it. I love
it. You are down in the Bahamas. I know that you are working on designing a golf course at a place that you said is really, really special, which is great, which shows that you're immersed in a lot of things, and you're still immersed in playing golf. And let's start with this event that you're a part of, the Skechers World Team Championship, that it is going to be conducted in a couple weeks' time. You've been on so many teams, Jim. What is the most redeemable thing about participating, getting together with guys you compete against over the course of a year, of a couple of years? What has been the greatest thing about doing all of these events for more than 25 years for you?
Yeah, I think 2 things stick out. Right off the bat, it's the camaraderie. You know, being a part of a team that we don't usually get to do. Having your teammates, you got a big putt on the last hole, your whole team's, surrounding the green, pulling for that putt to go in. It's just something we don't get a chance to do on a normal basis. And then I think when I really look at it, I'm looking at, I played for Jack Nicklaus 3 times. I've had the opportunity to captain some young players in their early 20s. So you're looking at 60 or 70 years of the greatest players in the United States. And so to be able to connect with all those generations, to be friends and keep those relationships for years to come has been really special.
You know, you mentioned Jack. I was lucky enough to be with you a week ago in his company, and you were sharing with this wonderful crowd at Ken Duke's great charity event about how on one day your match ended, and he said, jump in the cart. And you said that you spent 2 hours with him riding around, looking at the other matches, and he was giving you a tutorial on how everything was unfolding and how you were struck by that and his understanding of all those things. Captaining a team, when you're around people like that, how much can you gather from that and then apply yourself?
Yeah, I think I did that throughout my entire career. Having the opportunity to play in 9 Ryder Cups and 7 President's Cups, I think Tabitha and I along the way were always hopeful that we'd have the opportunity to captain a team. And you pick little bits and pieces from each captain. Surely I loved playing for each and every one of them. You pick the little bits and pieces, things that they did, things that they said, You try to gather that information. You try to include that into your captaincy. And so Tabitha and I had a blast. We had the opportunity to do it twice. My soulmate, she's unbelievable with the gals, as Barbara Nicholas was with the gals. Mm-hmm. Everyone looks up to Barbara, players included. It was that day that you mentioned was one of the greatest days of my golfing career, just from the fact that, Jack sent me out first. I was the U.S. Open champion playing Mike Weir, the Masters champion. It was one of the most exciting days of golf in any team competition. And I got to ride, because I was the first match, I got to ride with Jack for 2 hours in the cart and just pick his brain and hear him tell stories. And of course, we're nervous. We're rooting for our team. And then one of the greatest playoffs in history as well. That match ended up the way it should have. It should have been a tie, and great sportsmanship that went along with it.
It didn't mean that he listened to everything you said, because I think the day before you said, hey, man, I'm not feeling that great. I can probably give you one match tomorrow. And then you mentioned Tabitha. She said to you, what did you say to Jack? And you're like, what are you talking about? You'd come out of treatment, and you weren't playing once, you were playing twice.
Right. That was a different year, but it was at RTJ. I had a rib injury, dying 1,000 deaths. That's the first I got paired with Tiger Woods, so the entire world was watching. I played horrible, and Tiger, amazing. He basically won this 4-ball match on his own. And I told Jack, man, just put me out an alternate shot. I only have to hit half the shots. I can't go 36. He looked at Tabitha and said, get him ready. He goes, yeah, I'm throwing your horse out. He's going 36 tomorrow. So surprise to me, but the injury came around. My game came around, and I played a lot better the next day with Tiger. I think we won both matches.
Jim, let's talk about some of the details of this Skechers World Champions Cup. 3 teams, not 2. And with that, you're getting Scotch Sixums, you're getting 6 balls, and then you will also have singles. Give everybody an idea of what does that do to your strategy when you're not looking at just one opponent on a hole, you're looking at multiples.
Yeah, I think it was really difficult for our team 2 years ago to not get a feel. It's not really a match play event. You're playing against 2 teams. I think they all had to kind of lock in on the idea that I'm just going to go out there, shoot the best possible score I can. I mean, there's no putts given. Everything has to be holed. Let's go make a bunch of birdies, bunch of pars, hang in there on every hole, and add it up at the end. But the point system is wild. I was watching on my phone as a captain, and we're up 3, we're down 4, we're up 2. Eventually, I just had to quit watching. It was nerve-wracking, but we were lucky enough that we were down to the internationals with a few holes to go. You see Billy Andrade there, David Toms. The 2 of them played like champs down the stretch, won us a bunch of points, and we were able to flip it and ultimately ended up winning the first WCC. So it was a lot of great memories, and I've got 3 of these guys back. So Jerry, Justin, and Strick are back on the team, and we're going to rely on their veteran play, and also kind of letting the 3 guys that have never been in this event before what to expect.
What's neat is that you're blending, people that have the familiarity with all these guys who represented Europe on the Ryder Cup team, a lot of guys who represented the international side on the President's Cup team, all coming together. Why is this such a good asset for PGA Tour Champions, and obviously Skechers presenting it? Shriners Children's benefits from this. Why is this such a valuable asset?
2 of the most exciting events in the world of golf are the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup, and the World Champions Cup kind of brings the 2 of those together. There's never been a 3-team event like this. Europe, the internationals, the United States, and for us as players, I loved playing in the Ryder Cup. I love the President's Cup, and eventually you kind of age out, you move on, you hopefully become a captain one day, but hey man, this is our second chance. We get to represent our country, we get to be teammates again, and I think it's a great show for the world of golf. National TV, network TV on Sunday. So we're all excited about it. Darren's a great friend. Mike's a great friend. I know how excited they are as well. So I'm ready to get down there and get this thing going.
What would you think by consensus is the skill? Look, you've competed against these guys for 30 years. That has been retained by consensus best after 50?
Say that again? I'm not sure I understand the question.
The skill that you guys have, look, there are certain things that are going to marginally erode, but into whether it be short game putting, bunker play, is there something that you think this subset of players has held on to best?
Shot making, without a doubt, shot making. I think we grew up with persimmon woods, balata balls, the ball's curving, hit it high, hit it low, move it around obstacles. I think the game's changed, and not for worse. It's just the athlete's gotten bigger and stronger. The equipment's gotten bigger and stronger. The way they play golf courses has changed. But I think the one aspect about us being able to knock the ball down, being able to control spin rates, trajectories, flights, I think the shot making is something that we've retained, and I think that our generation is very proud of.
You mentioned Tiger. You were not only somebody who he was comfortable with, you were reliable. You were comfortable with him, which I don't think was an immediate easy thing for everybody. I mean, you go back to '97 at Valderrama. God, everybody was tried through time. But my curious question to you, and it's only based on intuition, do you think 27 is the right time for him to captain a team?
I think that's his choice, right? He's Tiger Woods. I think the opportunity was there in 25. I think, he needs to be able to give 110% to it. It's an amazing job, but it is very time consuming. And you put a lot of pressure on yourself as a captain. So if the timing's right for him and it's something that he wants, I think that opportunity is there. Surely, as you said, it was difficult to find the right partners because when you're dealing with Tiger Woods, he's under the microscope each and every day of his life. And so to be cast into that as a partner can be sometimes difficult. I think by the time we became partners, I was pretty comfortable with my career and comfortable with that position. Same with Strick. But he's done some amazing work. I wasn't around. I wasn't one of his vice captains in Australia when he was the captain of the President's Cup team, but I served a number of different teams with him as a vice captain, and the players look up to him. I think he's really become a mentor for a lot of them down there in South Florida, and he had some great intuition and great ideas as a vice captain. So he was always an asset to the team in that way.
Jim, as immersed as you have been in the President's Cup and Ryder Cup system, what alteration, if any, would you make to the American system?
Yeah, I think I've really thought a lot about it since, for the last 10 years, but since his last Ryder Cup. I think for us, we have to take a little bit of a look at Team USA. You can't look at the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup separately. The guys need too much symmetry. You're seeing a lot of the same players, the Xanders, the Scotties, the Patricks, each and every year. And so just creating symmetry each and every year. We've done that as captains. I think that kind of started with Davis Love, Freddie Couples, Stricker, myself, having a lot of the same vice captains. But as we move here into the future, we're going to see some younger faces as captains. We're going to see some different teams. And I think just creating that symmetry, creating a little bit more of a team aspect each and every year in and year out, a playbook, if you will, is really key for us. And I think that's something we're working on and trying to move into the future for Team USA.
All right, you're in the Bahamas. Let's get you out of here. 5 quick questions to go for Jim Furyk. The one Steelers jersey for life. If you were going to have to put a jersey on every Sunday, and you beat the plucky Bengals yesterday, so your one jersey, what number?
Yeah, I've got a couple friends over there, so now I pick one, and I'm going to have someone mad at me, but I'll go with 88. 88.
Swanee. Very good.
Yeah, Lynn Swan.
The best shot you ever saw Tiger hit in person that you witnessed, is there one?
President's Cup, RTJ. We're playing a par 3 down the hill against the water. It's either 8 or 9. Tough match. I'm hitting first. I hit 5-iron kind of in the middle of the green. It landed in the middle of the green and ran all the way through. This pin's in a little back corner in the left. No chance you can get it close. And he hits a 6 or 7-iron straight up in the air. It lands like 3 feet from the hole, stops on a dime. And my first look was to look at the 2 guys we were playing because I wanted to see the reaction. Because I knew no other person on the planet could hit that shot, and it was my partner. And I had the biggest grin on my face, like, what are you going to do now? We won that hole.
All right, the show that you and Tabitha have binged that you loved in the last year, is there one that stands out?
Oh. She's watching one right now with one of our dear friends. I think it's called The Road, she was saying. So we have to catch up. They had man, I'm going to mess up. I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of shows, but Tabitha is hooked on this one, The Road, or I wish she was sitting right next to me still. She would whisper to me and help me out. But I'm all live sports on TV. Live sports for me.
Very good. All right, the team, you've gotten so much gear over the years. Is there one item that you still have, starting in '97, that you still possess and occasionally will actually put on?
That ugly shirt from '99.
What, at Halloween, or when
I've
do you
worn
wear
it about 4 times. I've worn it for like a Halloween costume, or I took it to Rome just to mess around with the guys. Wore it to dinner one night just to see what everyone would say. So I wear it like once every 7 years or so.
People should have known that Jeff Rose shirt. Ben wore a shirt like that when he won the Masters in '95, that final day. It was that silk screen. It had a bunch of like Masters dinners photos that were on it. That was 4 years before that one. That was like a blue shirt that was actually kind of decent looking. '99, not so much. All right, last thing.
That was a great idea. It didn't
great idea. The heart was in the right place. All right, last question. Yeah. Your absolutely must toppings on a pizza and thin crust or deep dish.
I'm going to go thin crust, kind of New York style. I keep it simple. Maybe some pepperoni. Meat for sure, but pepperoni, and now kind of like that addition of that hot honey is a good way to go as well.
Nice.
So simple. You load up a pizza too much, it gets too greasy too much. I like that crust to still have a little snap.
All right, he will captain the American team, the Skechers World Champions Cup. He's got a great team, the international team, the European team, and as Jim mentioned, network television on the final day. Thank you for carving out a little time while you're down in the Bahamas. Enjoy the holiday season. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it, Gary. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, Jim Furyk there. That's the beginning of a Monday. We got a lot to get to. We're going to pivot because there are so many great people who teach the game of golf. So like we did about a month ago with designers, it's Teachers Week. So from the best teachers at every level, and I'm talking about people who focus on amateurs, people who work with the best players in the world. Over the course of the next 3 days, you're going to hear about their philosophies and also things that you might be able to impart yourself in your own game. Teachers Week, and of course Jim, working with his dad all of his career and all of his life, is somebody who understands the value of the instructor. We take a break. Great to have you with us. A Monday edition of 5 Clubs here on Golf Channel, PGA Tour Radio. That's Sirius XM's Channel 92. We are back with Jason Baile, who was voted the PGA of America Teacher of the Year and works with some very good players, to say the least. And I'm not talking about the membership at Jupiter Hills. We're back with him right after this. Back in on 5 Clubs on this Monday. Yes, Teachers Week, devoting this entire week to talking to the people who teach the game at the highest level. So important to advancing the game. It's not a coincidence. It's not just because we can play 9 holes or short courses. It's because instruction is so good now that these people, and we're going to hear from a lot of them. It's great to have you with us on this Monday. And this segment is brought to you by Peter Millar. And when it comes to having choices about what you want to wear, and it's not just on the golf course, it's everything you could ever imagine you would need when it comes to your life and your lifestyle. It's Peter Millar and petermillar.com. And joining me now, he was the Teacher and Coach of the Year from the PGA of America. I would give him best dressed as well because he's a Millar guy. He is the Director of Instruction at Jupiter Hills, works with some of the best players in the world. He's Jason Baile. My friend, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Gary. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for doing this, and thank you for doing what you do. I mean, it's not just working with best players in the world. You've contributed at the Global Golf Initiative for years at Congaree, giving kids who have a chance with a ceiling that's a little bit higher than where it is at 15 to maybe play college golf. I know how much you love what you do, and it shows. And it's not maybe accidental, Jason, because you come from a family where mom and dad gave other people a chance to believe they were better at dancing or at football or at basketball because your dad was a coach, your mom had a dance studio with a ton of students. What from their foundational kind of structure of instruction and teaching and coaching lives with you today?
I think, like, first and foremost, I was used to seeing my parents in charge of things, so I was used to seeing them standing up there in front. I was used to seeing them lead from the front, and I was used to seeing them care. So I think from the biggest standpoint, early on was I just felt like that's what you were supposed to do. So it never bothered me to stand in front of a clinic or stand in front of a group of people and just kind of lead from that standpoint. So that was a big part of it. I'm a big proponent of environment, and my environment growing up was outstanding. I share a lot of that with my players. And if you can create the right environment around people, then you're going to get some really good results.
People, and what is what we do now in this world, we look at people's curated backdrops and you're going, okay, there's a Sea Island logo, there's Hale Irwin, there's Davis Love. That room means a lot to you because I know that the name on that room is somebody who had a great influence on your career, Jack Lumpkin, who worked obviously for many, many, many years with a lot of great players, Davis being one of them. Let me ask you about him. And those touchstones, those messages, those things that you learn from him that you pass on?
Yeah, thank you to Sea Island for allowing me to be in this room. I'm here at RSM with some players and needed a spot to be on the show with you. And I rang up Craig Allen and he said, it was only fitting that we put you in the Lumpkin Library. So thankful to Sea Island for that. I didn't get to spend a ton of time with Jack, but the 4 years I did get to spend around him were very, mind-blowing from the standpoint of, like, I grew up, remember being in Spanish class and having my Golf Digest open inside my Spanish book and reading a Jack Lumpkin article. And Davis was my favorite player growing up. So, like, figuring out that there was this magical place called Sea Island, and that's where Jack taught, and you could actually make a living teaching golf. These were things that, early on in my career, I had no idea you could do, didn't know where Sea Island was. And then to find myself on the staff here in 2008 to 2012 and getting to teach alongside him and Todd Anderson and Gail Peterson and Mike Shannon and Randy Myers. I used to take him to lunch anytime I had the money to take him to lunch, and I'm staying down here at the Village Inn and Pub, and one of the last places we ever had lunch was Mallory Street Cafe. And I remember about halfway through lunch, I'd asked him, how do you keep ladies' left arms, longer and straighter in the backswing? He says, come on. And he goes outside and he pops open his trunk and he grabs his rain jacket, and he makes me put his rain jacket on, but I couldn't put the left arm in. And so I had to have the dangling sleeve, and he grabs the sleeve and he pulls me back like this. And he said, you keep the left arm long by using the right. And I just will never forget those little things that he shared with me. He was so great at demonstrating and so great at just, bringing you along with these little things. And I'm forever grateful for it.
Jason, there are so many things that I know that you apply now. And obviously technology is applicable to all aspects of life and golf in particular. When you do an assessment, whether it's an elite player or a recreational golfer, how quickly do you understand whether they are more inclined to receive audible messaging or visual messaging better?
I think good coaches are trying to use it all and let the player kind of figure out what cue they kind of use. So I'm not really looking at it as, are they, visual or audible? I'm using a combination of everything to illustrate the same point. And then I'm also looking for how much runway do I have with a player. I mean, as soon as they get off the golf cart and they're walking to me, I'm looking at how their body works and how their body moves. I'm thinking about their injury history, if they have one. I'm thinking about what their goals are and trying to formulate a plan based off of all of that. Like, how do we put all of this together to create something that's unique to that case study of that one player that's in front of me, unique to their goals?
Technology can be intimidating, like golf can be intimidating. How do you take that away from the mind of a student? How do you make technology effective and understandable in a reasonable amount of time?
Yeah, I think I look at technology as like a scoreboard. Okay, so if the path is going 5 degrees to the left with your 7-iron and you want to hit a draw, then if you leave in an hour and it's only going 1 degree left, we're not winning the game yet, but we're actually moving in the right direction. So when we come back the next time, this is where we start, this is where we're heading. So I look at technology as if it's used correctly, like I say, it's got to be used for good, not evil. All right, if it's used correctly, then it's taking the complex stuff and making it simple. And that's what we're really looking for with technology. It looks intimidating, it can be complex, but can we use that technology to come up with the simplest cue for a player to make a change in their swing?
Are you teaching? Do you think you've got to be a psychologist or psychiatrist to some degree, maybe more so with the best players than you are with someone who is an 8.6 index. The mind and the body, when you see that starting to cooperate, how valuable is that to you in terms of believing that you're doing the right things, and how prideful is that to see mind and body operate together?
Yeah, I would never say I'm a sports psychologist by any means. I kind of look at myself as like the hype man, just walking in, just getting there, that kind of thing, especially with the best players in the world and with the members at Jupiter Hills. It's so fun when you can get any player to kind of be accountable. Let's write something down on our whiteboard in the bay at Jupiter Hills. And one of the cool things about that, when Lucas and I first started working together, we wrote down some goals in our second lesson, and his caddy Tom Lamb happened to be there and took a picture of the board. And one of the goals on the board was to get back to top 30 in the world. And after he won twice, and we were walking down the fairways of the Tour Championship, Tommy pulls out his phone and shows me that picture, and he goes, "You know where we are, right?" I said, "Yeah, we're number 30 in the world." So I think when you can kind of like create some accountability, you can actually put some goals out there that's an outcome goal, and then you can frame everything else around the processes that are going to get you there. That's when the magic really starts to happen, when the whole team's pulling in the same direction because we're all after the same thing, but we're using the processes along the way to get to the outcome.
With respect to Lucas, when you see him out there and he's got a body that he looks like an athlete, and he ambles around like an athlete. He doesn't put a glove on. He's got those big old meat hooks. Do you ever get caught up just looking at his action? Because it's so good.
But I tell my coaching friends, it's really hard sometimes when you're coaching Mozart. All right, so I would buy every one of the shots that Lucas doesn't like. They're all good shots. His bad shots are really good shots to me. So I love working with Lucas because he's a really good friend and obviously a great player. But one of the big parts I love about Lucas is he makes me work because he is that good a ball striker. Is I've really got to be on my game when we're working together because he wants it to be a certain way, and we've got to get him to that certain way or he's not happy, and I'm not happy at that point. So he's made me a better coach because I've had to work really hard coaching Mozart.
Before I let you go, I know how much you respect and appreciate your peer group. Who is a great teacher to teachers?
Well, I'm sitting in the man's library, so I think Jack certainly was.
Certainly.
I think Jack certainly was. I'm a big TPI guy. I wouldn't be where I am today without Dave Phillips. He's been fantastic. Greg Rose has been fantastic. The whole TPI family. John Tattersall is wonderful. Lance Gill, Jason Glass, Mark Blackburn, all of these guys I kind of grew up with in that TPI silo. And so I got to look at them from an education standpoint and give them the nod at this point because I just know I wouldn't be where I am without them.
Well, look, TPI made Jay Billis a competent golfer. That's the greatest endorsement and testament to the effectiveness of TPI. They're great at what they do. You are too. Congratulations on the recognition this year, the PGA of America Teacher of the Year. I know it's a special week for you being there at Sea Island with a lot of dear friends. I will be down there later this week. I hope to see you. Thanks so much.
Good. Look forward to seeing you, Gary. Thank you for having me on.
You bet. Jason Baile, PGA of America Teacher of the Year, Top 50 Golf Digest as well. Understandably, we take a break. We continue. Erika Larkin, she came from Queens, New York. How in the world did she become one of the best teachers? She will join me. It is Teachers Week on a Monday edition of 5 Clubs Golf Channel, PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 on Sirius XM. We are back right after this.
There are 5 phases to a true swing. They're called phases because they're not static positions. We're blending movement patterns together, we're blending feels together to create a seamless and wholesome swinging motion. So, the first phase of a true swing is called the heave. We get the body turning back so that the hands aren't doing the work. We drag the club into motion, we heave the club into motion, and create some momentum that brings us to the second phase, which is the tipping point. The club tips over at the top naturally up here. The wrists get pulled with it. Third comes the fall. As we finish the backswing, our momentum shifts to the target and we allow our bodies to fall with it and load up on our lead leg, which is going to become the pivot post. Next comes the pivot. We pivot on top of that pivot post into our front hip, open up the body, and naturally produce some nice lag in the hands and wrists without having to hold it or force it to happen. Lastly, because of that wonderful pivot and relaxed wrist, the club is going to want to start swinging out. And as it swings out, we have a natural release through the bottom to impact. Last but not least, you're going to end up in a wonderful balanced finish position if you've completed those 5 phases of a true swing correctly, because you're going to have so much wonderful natural momentum, effortless power. It's going to pull you to a finish without you even having to try.
It is Teachers Week, and that was a good 90 seconds for you to maybe impart on your own game. This segment brought to you by Golf Pride. When it comes to materials and quality of product and options, nobody can touch Golf Pride. You saw her, just heard her. She joins me now in Top 50 Golf Digest, Top 100 Golf Magazine, among the best instructors. She has devoted so much of her career to the amateur golfer, to the junior golfer making their way to college golf. She is Erika Larkin, Director of Instruction at Creighton Farms. How are you this morning? Thank you for joining me.
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me, Gary.
Well, it's great to have you. I mentioned before the break, Queens, New York. Look, my mom's from Queens. She didn't know golf until my dad asked her to go on a date when they were in Hawaii, and she had just met her. She's like, golf, I know nothing about it. Neither did you from Jackson Heights, and then you go to a pitch and putt in Flushing Meadow. You're self-taught. What was it about golf that you're like, I want to go back?
Pitch and putt was just so much fun. I got to play with my parents. We were all learning together. It was very organic. There was ice cream at the end of it. And it was just a great introduction to the game, which was not intimidating. Every hole was, 40, 50, 60 yards. And I just had 2 clubs to manage. So it couldn't have been a better start, really. And we had no idea that that was a blessing in disguise that would open up this whole world for me and for my parents. We played together. We learned the game. We started to seek out some coaching as I got a little bit older, but I was 8 years old, and it was amongst one of many activities that I was into at the time, but I gravitated more and more to it because it was different. Nobody was doing it. I was the only girl I knew that played golf, and that was actually a bit of I guess, a benefit in my mind that I was doing something that no one else was doing. So I never looked at it as, oh gosh, I don't want to do something that's strange or different. I thought it was cool to stand out. So I met really great people along the way, including one of my mentors, Frank Darby, in the Met section, who you know very well.
Yes.
And he's also a Queens boy. And he took me under his wing and helped me navigate my way to the ranks of playing in college at James Madison University. And hence my golf career really started to take off. I ended up obviously in it as for my whole career.
Yeah, you mentioned Frank, and obviously you mentioned Queens and St. John's and coaching Keegan Bradley, and we all need people who give us direction and give us guidance. What were the most important things for you to build your foundation of instruction? What were they?
So Frank had me read a lot of books. I read the Rotella books, the Harvey Phoenix, and most importantly was Ernest Jones. And that was a conversation we talked a lot about, was swinging the weight of the club, pendulum motion, and that feel for me and the simplicity of that carried me through my playing days. And ultimately, when I started coaching and had to teach others the basics of golf, I leaned into what I knew. And then I learned so much more along the way as a modern coach, all the technology, access to flight scope and TrackMan and 3D analysis. I've learned all that stuff, but always kind of came back to my roots and those core principles of tempo, balance, just the flow of the swing and being in touch with, your own body, the sequence of motion, and not manipulating the club in a way that you're steering or hitting at the ball. Just swinging is truly the best solution to your best, most effortless and consistent shots.
As a college golfer like you were, so you had that experience, and I'm very interested because I think it's such a key dynamic to growth and development is the instructor and their relationship and communication with the parents. What is the most important thing for you to establish if you've dealt with and work with a lot of top juniors who go on to college golf when it comes to establishing with the parents, whether it's boundaries or understandings or the idea of expectation? How do you go about that?
Yeah, I've gotten a chance to work with some great juniors over the years and sent them off to college ranks. And it's a journey that you have to take together and realize what everybody's role is. And a lot of times the parents are the ones with their children at tournaments, and they are bringing back feedback that's valuable to the coach because unfortunately, as the coach, I'm teaching a lot of people and I have a home base and I can't travel to every tournament with every junior or golfer that I teach. So I am relying on the parent for some degree of communication and that, eye of, okay, what do you see going on in your child? But I'm also leaning on the child, the golfer, to take ownership of their own game and not just have mom and dad tell me what's going on too. So I think it's a bit of both. There are lots of times where there's been private conversations where I direct my attention in the lesson just to the golfer, the junior, and have them tell me in their own words what they feel is going on. And then there's a sidebar, usually either before or after the lesson with the parent to understand their perspective as well, and then kind of marry the two and give each person, each party, I should say, in the relationship homework. What is your role? What are you responsible for doing so that you can be your best self and everybody supports the journey together. The player has their responsibility, the parent has their responsibility, and needs to stay in their lane and let the coach also do their work.
What do you think is the most effective way to share information and then for that to be translated into physical action? How do you take, whether it's visually or whether it be with data or whether it be with your audible thoughts, what's the most effective way to get that into like an absence of tension and, like you said, steerage, and trying to take that out and getting physical action to be kind of that unconscious body and mind working together?
Yeah, I think you have to combine the maybe more specific technical changes that you're trying to make into one feel, one experience. So maybe you have something you're doing in your setup and potentially, I don't know, something in your backswing. And when you take that practice swing before you step in to hit your shot, you're creating a full sensation. Maybe it's helpful to close your eyes or to just simply tune into, where the club is moving around you, the shape of the swing that's happening now that's different from what you are maybe typically doing that you're trying to move away from. So I think creating that holistic experience of swinging motion, swing shape, maybe an external cue of, again, where you visualize or feel the club moving around you is helpful. And then translating that right to the golf ball with tension-free motion is huge because people stand over the ball and then they freeze. So I'm a big fan of bringing your energy over the ball, walking in as an athlete, walking in, connecting to your target, and not taking too long so you don't lose that feel that you had from your practice swing. So I think practice swings are really important. Having a swing mantra, it could be verbal for some people where they just tell themselves, 2 words that reminds them of what it is that they're supposed to feel or experience. So, but boiling it down to just like one specific general feel, the experience of swinging is huge, as opposed to some pieces and parts that really chop up the motion and then people get stuck just over on one side of the swing. It has to be fluid. It has to connect to the target.
Eric, I want to get back to what I think is one of your key tenets, and that is the idea of not being mechanical and this notion of the consistent golf swing and steerage. We see the best players in the world exhibit it. We do it all the time, contrived. How do you eliminate that as best you can, the idea of steering it or being mechanical?
My whole philosophy is based on the principle that the body swings the arm club unit. And so as the golfer, we're responsible for pivoting our body back and pivoting our body through, sometimes small, like for putting and chipping, and sometimes much bigger for full swing. And that scales the amount of energy that we're going to receive when it puts our arms and the club into motion. But to me, the inside swings the outside. And so if we understand having a good setup, posture, those geometry angles that we create at setup are so important. So I'm a huge fan of having really good setup principles, both from how we stand, our balance at address, and how we grip the club, because if those things are out of whack, you're going to be on the hook to manipulate before you even begin. So being in an athletic ready position, having good posture and hip hinge over the ball is going to allow your arms space to swing and hang, as opposed to maybe sitting on our heels or having really rounded posture that we can't move well. So posture and setup and grip are huge. From there, we are responsible for body pivot. And I think when people understand how to turn in posture and just that main concept of getting their feet and their body completely involved to create energy, then the arms swing effortlessly and they truly are followers. At which point, to answer your question, the hands and wrists do not have responsibility to do anything other than hang on to the orientation of how they were set to begin with. The wrists respond, they flow, they hinge, they unhinge. And as Ernest Jones said, a true swing cannot fail to produce perfect timing. So if we swing from the inside out, our arms take that ride around our body, we can't help but find the ground consistently. That pendulum is destined to swing and hit the ground where we set it in space. So we're setting a radius, and as long as we sort of rotate around that dynamically centered space that we set to begin with, we have a really good chance, without manipulation, of coming back and swinging through and not having to find the golf ball or manipulate our way through.
Well, the kid from Jackson Heights, Queens, has become one of the best teachers in the world. You have a huge following on social media. I know that you interact there. You're the founder of True Swing. I know how proud the membership is to have you as the director of instruction at Creighton Farms. Thank you for taking the time. I look forward to doing this again.
Thank you so much for having me, Gary. It's lovely to speak with you.
There is Erika Larkin. Again, Teachers Week is underway. I'll give you a preview of what we have ahead tomorrow. A few other thoughts to end our Monday edition of Five Clubs right after this. Back in, final couple of minutes here, this Monday edition of Five Clubs. This segment brought to you by Century. When it comes to investing in golf, they do it in great ways with the USGA, with the First Tee. And if you have business insurance need, which is their core business, they will meet whatever your needs are. It's Century Insurance, right by you. Thank you again to Erika Larkin and also to Jason Baile. Look, there are so many good teachers out there, and I promise for those that you're going, why didn't you have this person on or that person on? It's kind of like designers. There's a lot of people doing great work. Tomorrow, Mark Blackburn, who was bestowed Teacher of the Year by Golf Digest, he will be on. He's got a new book as well, The Coaching Code, which I'm almost done with. This book is so good. And I'm not a big read instruction books. This is much more than that. This is really so good in terms of the psychology of trying to take instruction as well and applying it. And also Michael Breed, my old buddy. So Mark Blackburn, Michael Breed. Michael's show obviously follows ours here on the Sirius XM side, coming up at 9 a.m. So Michael will join me right before he starts his 3-hour radio show. I've known Michael for more than 3 decades, and he's obviously one of the best teachers. He won Teacher of the Year from the PGA of America. I believe it was 2012, and Mark is working with some of the best players in the world, one of whom, Matthew Fitzpatrick. Matt won the DP World Tour Championship yesterday. Justin Rose being another one. Max Homa has gone back to Mark. And then on Wednesday, Chris Como, who works with Xander Schauffele. Xander is going to be on this program next Monday. Looking forward to talking to Chris Como on Wednesday. And Justin Parsons. Justin has got an amazing stable of players. He based at Sea Island. So looking forward to the week in that respect. Let me just say a couple things about Matt Fitzpatrick. Didn't have a great start to the year, but the back end of his year, Matt Fitzpatrick, in terms of where he is going into 2026, he's one of the 15 best players in the world. And Rory, as I said last week, and I said in my Just 5 talking about longevity, when you live in the top 10, which he has done for more than 15 years. Look, he's 18 years into his career, and he just won his 7th Harry Vardon Trophy. And yeah, there was some things that you're looking at on the inward 9 yesterday, and you're going, how did that happen? How'd you make bogey on 16? He makes 3 on 18. He's a ride, man. It's a wildly entertaining ride that he has given everybody when he burst into the top 10 for the first time in 2009. For those folks out there going, you look a little like Charlie Dillon, the character that Matt Damon played in School Ties. You're not the only one who said it. Kevin, my stage manager, was like, what is going on? What is this, prep school week? Hey, man, I could run the football until Jason Frazier showed up and he took my spot. And if you don't understand the reference, you are not a whole person because you haven't seen School Ties. All right, thank you again to Jason Baile and Erika Larkin. Tomorrow, Mark Blackburn, Michael Breed. It is Teachers Week as we give you the best instructors in the game all week here on 5 Clubs. Have a great Monday. We will see you tomorrow.